Okay, we are back with a recap of last night's Blue Jackets game against the Bruins, in which they get smoked for nothing, and all of the scoring happened in the first two periods. So the game was pretty much over by the time the final 20 minutes even started. I'm going to get a little more macro in this review because while I could go into specific details about this game, and I guess I'll summarize some of it, it really just seems like a continuation of a lot of the issues that we have seen early on. David Jiricek draws in because Adam Boqvist is going to miss 6 months, and Gavin Bayreuther drew in for Jake Bean, who is out with an illness. Jiricek, who is obviously the 6th overall pick of the 2022 draft, he's pretty much penciled in as the future guy next to Zach Werenski if all things go as planned, and he looked fine. He didn't look out of place on this defense, although this defense has been horrid to start the year. They've been awful. And the Blue Jackets didn't look, they did not look solid next to Boston at all. So looking solid in the Blue Jackets defense, who knows how that barometer really is. I do think that David Jiricek is just here until Blankenberg can get back, and then maybe they send him back to Cleveland. But again, David Jiricek didn't cause any negatives. Nobody really stuck out as a positive good on this team last night. But if Jiricek can stick in like that, then hopefully he's not going to embarrass himself at the NHL level, and that's good. That's a good thing to see. And maybe he goes back to the AHL and continues to be one of their better defensemen. I know the Monsters GM said that he's been their best defenseman every game. So hopefully David Jiricek can continue his growth. And if it's not in the NHL, then hopefully in the AHL. I really don't think this kid's gonna be a miss. Excuse me. I don't think this kid's gonna be a miss anytime soon. But some of the issues that we saw in the Boston game has been happening for a while. The power play is still an active detriment to this team. Is there an option for the Blue Jackets to just decline them and let 2 minutes run off the clock? The Blue Jackets would literally have a better goal differential if they did that. They have scored 0 goals on the power play technically, and they have given up 2 shorthanded goals. So yes, the goal differential for the Blue Jackets on the man advantage is -2. They would be better off on the stat sheet if they declined their power plays and just let 2 minutes go off the clock and then continued play from there. Maybe they take an offensive zone 5-on-5 face-off and win that and get a goal out of that somehow. But the power play's been abysmal. It's ridiculous. I know the Patrick Laine injury definitely has to have had something to do with that. But even when Patrick Laine's been here, he's been healthy. They've had power play chances with him in it, and still nothing. Look, I'm not saying you have to fire Brad Larson now. I'm saying it like it's definitely going to happen. There's still plenty of time for them to turn the season around and for the Blue Jackets to get something productive done now. But there were higher expectations put on this team because of the Johnny Gaudreau signing, and those definitely have not been met. Their 3 wins were a comeback from behind scrambling win against a flailing Vancouver, another come from behind win against a flailing Predators team who had lost 3 straight, and 1 really solid 60-minute performance against the Rangers, and the rest have been bleh. It's been bleh, and they had a perfect opportunity to get back to 500, build some momentum against Arizona, and because that was a good opportunity because they knew Boston was coming in. And look, in theory, this team is going to lose 4-0 to Boston. You think at some point in the season, because Boston is playing like crazy right now. They're gunning for the cup again. They're going back for, 1 more run or maybe 2 more years. Who knows? It's Boston. They never seem to go away. And the Columbus Blue Jackets, this is still a building year if we're honest about ourselves with how this team is looking. This is a building year. So it wouldn't be that bad in a vacuum for this game to happen. But this game continuing to have issues that this team has been experiencing all year, and there seemed to be no change. That's the issue here, is that not this game in a vacuum, but just the overall summation of the parts of the season so far has boiled over to this embarrassing showing against Boston. And I feel like the Jackets team should be a little more competitive against the tough teams of the league. I'm not saying they have to win every game against cup contenders, but it is a little disheartening to see that for most of the games against teams that are gunning for a cup run or at least vying for the playoffs, it's been a lot of non-competitive games. This game was over by the 3rd period, and the team got booed out of their home building again. And I'm saying if the Arizona game doesn't happen and they take care of business there, or they're at least competitive against Arizona, maybe this isn't this big of a deal. But again, you can't do that against Arizona and then expect people to be calm and level-headed when you get shut out and lose by 4 goals the next game against anybody, no matter who it is. Even if it is against the best team in hockey right now, it's still not going to be seen as acceptable. Again, my back to being harsh on Lars. I actually do think the start of this season resembles a lot of the start of last season, just without the easier schedule. The Blue Jackets mostly feasted on average and below average teams that they faced early on in the schedule because they had a really easy schedule. And now this year they have a really hard schedule. And you look at the losses last year early, it was mostly blowouts to good contending teams. And that's what we've seen a lot this season. To start is blowouts against good contending teams. They're just facing a lot more of them early on in this year as opposed to last year. But as far as stuff with the Jacket season goes, I don't think you have to fire Lars yet. I don't think that's something that's gonna change, because if you do fire Lars, who are you going to get to step up? I know I've seen you can get Barry Trotz. Well, first off, if Barry Trotz is declining offers from his hometown team, I doubt the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to entice Barry Trotz to come over and coach this wreck of a team right now. So do you have to promote from within? Does Pascal Vincent get that role? Would that be good? Because not only does Pascal Vincent get elevated, you have to find another forwards coach. Do you call them up from the Monsters? I mean, this is already a coaching staff that's a little bit thin, because remember last year the defensive assistant that they hired didn't work out, so they had to call that guy up from the Monsters already that they had. So they're already working with coaching on one end of the puck that's like not that they didn't intend on hiring last season. What do you do from here? You just have to accept that maybe this team is going to be nowhere near as good as some of us fans thought. Maybe not even better than last year, which is a scary thought to think. But and it's not just coaching, it's not just awful defense. The goaltending has been really bad for the season too. Daniil Tarasov had that one solid game against the Rangers where he was fantastic. I thought Tarasov was fine to good in the early season. Elvis has just he's been rough so far, and he has to work through it. He got upset last night, obviously, with he's saying it's not all on him, it's a team effort. And I know Elvis is definitely upset with himself. I don't feel like Elvis is not blaming himself for anything. I'm just thinking he's saying, look, I'm the goalie. Everyone's playing like garbage, and I kind of agree. It isn't just goaltending. It isn't just the defense. It isn't just coaching, and it's not just a weak power play. It's all of these things that are, compacted together, and they're resulting in this shit sandwich that we've seen from the Blue Jackets so far. It's not been a good week. It's not been a good first 9 games. They play the Devils. They play, I believe it's in New Jersey against the Devils. Maybe that's a gimme game for them, but the Devils are looking at the Blue Jackets thinking the same thing, that this is going to be a gimme game at home for the Devils to start building something. So thank you all for watching. If you made it this far, feel free to like and subscribe if you like this video. Usually game recaps are a little more game specific, but honestly, they lost 4-0. What needs to be said? Leave a like if you want. Leave a comment if you have something to say. Thank you all again for watching. I'll see you at the next one.